hill towards the start-finish line, and that final right-hander just before the start-finish line could be one of the tricky corners on the circuit. We'll wait and see as the pace car pulls into pit lane and the race comes under the control of pole man Marcel Fassler. He's already ahead of Makovici in the Celine. They should be side by side pretty much as they come round the final corner and see the start line for the first time. They're already racing even though the lights have not gone red. Fassler holds them back. There he goes. We're away. Lap 10 is underway, and it's been stopped already by Makovici.
Yeah, I think Fassler just lifted, not seeing the lights turn to green as soon as he'd hoped, and it was a perfect start from Fred Makovici, who's absolutely flown in. Here we are. This is what we're talking about. 3 and 4 wide going into the first corner. There's a spin already for 56. That's Andrew Kirkcaldy. So that's not done his hopes any good. They have not had any sort of luck this year, CR Scuderia. Like to be able to see a replay of what happened there, but Makovici it is who's headed off into the lead through the first sector.
And Richard Westbrook has just jumped on Matthias Russo in the Argentinian Ferrari there and held off the GT2 poleman. Looking down from the helicopter, it's difficult to see there, but Westbrook had definitely passed him one corner back, and I'm not entirely sure that it hasn't changed back again.
I think Russo's got it back again from the look of things, and indeed another car followed through as well. So yeah, it's all change again, but out at the front it's still Makovici from Fassler with the two Maseratis lined up alongside, getting a replay of what happened there in that. There's a little tap into the back of Andrew Kirkcaldy, which has sent him spinning round, and will be off into a recovery drive. See the dust.
The front end of that Scuderia Ecos number 62 is well rumpled, Graham, so I think that might well be the source of the contact.
That's Fabio Babini starting in that car, as recovering from the back. We saw briefly there the Corvette diving down the inside of a couple of GT2 cars. The SRT team penalised to the back of the grid for putting the wrong set of tyres on the car for qualifying. A fairly elementary mistake from what has otherwise been a very professional team this year.
And they weren't the only ones at the back, because the number 50 AF Corsa Ferrari also started from the back. A little tap with the ball meant it had hardly completed sector 1 of its first flying lap as Fassler comes on strong with Makovici. And we're on board in the cockpit of the number 5 Corvette. That is the back end of a Celine, and he would rather it was the other side of him, but it's not going to happen now. He might get a run at him here. This is going to be interesting, because this is like your most classic, obvious place to overtake, isn't it? But I don't think he's close enough to have a stab yet, is he?
No, doesn't look like it. But Collard, it looks as though Collard has maintained that place gained at the expense of Russo, but no, Russo's got him back again. So it's been nip and tuck on this first lap there. Maxime Soulet in the SRT car already up to 11th overall.
Well, the interesting thing is we look at the timing and scoring. Makovici, Fassler, Negrão, Bertolini, Bert Longin, then Mike Hazeman. 6th place for Hazeman. The championship at stake here between him and Bertolini and Bartels. Then I don't think Collard has got past Paltala. And Babini is now taking a place, and he's going to give it back. Yes.
Yes, just run that little bit too wide. Looked as though there might have just been
and he's going to take it again.
It's nip and tuck all the way, isn't it? And this is exactly what we were saying before. If you're right for one side, you're wrong for the other. Yes, and look at that damage on the front there. That's had a little moment, hasn't it?
Tangled with something, and since we saw Andrew Kirkcaldy spinning at the beginning of the race, it's tempting to assume that was the contact. I'm not saying anybody's to blame, but that certainly looks to be what happened. And is that a number 50 car coming from the back there, right up to the... Yes,
50 and 51 there running together. And it was 51 still, Christian Montanari just ahead of Jimmy Thornley. This gaggle of Ferraris come through the corner, and at the back of the gaggle, of course, it is Andrew Kirkcaldy.
There is our championship, the 2nd place contender. The car with the yellow front on it now, and the black mirrors. That is the car which, at the moment, that crew is 2nd in the championship. But if they don't play their cards right, they're not going to finish up there, because Collard and Westbrook, or Collard in particular at the moment, of course, that wheel is pushing on a bit, and he's mired down here and about, I think, to be gobbled up by this lot.
Yeah, now somewhere in that group was John Comathius in the 2nd BMS car, but he seems to have disappeared off the back of this group now. A little piece of loose asphalt on the circuit in turn 6 yesterday, and pitching Alan Simonson into the wall, sustaining enough damage that he couldn't continue. as we've got another little battle on board here. This is Montanari making his way past Malucelli. This is going to help the Porsches, of course. If Malucelli gets shuffled backwards down the order, his chance of holding on to that second place in the Drivers' Championship along with Paolo Roberti won't be strengthened any, and both the BMS Scuderia cars are well behind both the Pro Speed Porsches flying session, and they're already up to 6, and that's the end of Collard.
This is going to be a Maserati race, or at least I did, but look at Bertolini now, down in 7th place, and Hazelman in front of him. That's not really what the doctor ordered for them. But
it's all they need for the championship, isn't
sure,
it?
as long as Hazelman doesn't...
isn't winning, then it doesn't really matter to them what happens. What matters here is that Jose Maria Lopez gets past, if he can, Bert Longines. That's his avowed intent. He's got all the support going for him,
and
coming off in waves, and he's taking the inside line there. Longines just drifting a little bit wide onto the dirty stuff, and bravely down the inside. Jose Maria Lopez picks up 4th place now. His next target, Zandy Negrão.
Well, that was quite good work from Jose Maria Lopez, minimum. And so they put the faster driver in as early as they can, as Fabini
is being challenged. He's already been passed by Jim.
Season long. They've had moments of brilliance, which is just down to the competitive nature of the two guys involved. They don't like being anything but in the battle for the lead, and the fact that they can't be has really not gone well with them this year, but that hasn't stopped them trying to win races.
Oh no, they're out there and trying every single round. Frustrated, but they're out there and trying.
And I think Bert Longines, of course, doesn't have to give up this position to Mike Hazelman, because it's not up to him to win the championship for Hazelman, but Hazelman is looking for his opportunity, and as you say, I think the weight of the Corvette is hindering him, because he's struggling to find a place to outbrake him as well, isn't he?
Yeah, it's very difficult stopping that much extra weight against a very similarly powered competitor. Zandy Negrão setting his best time last time round, but still best part of 2 seconds or a second and a half shy of the pair ahead of him.
What Lopez doing is now 3 seconds, 3 and a bit seconds away from Negrão, so I think that gap's pretty much static, isn't it? And we are, coming up to half an hour of racing here in Argentina, and it's a waiting game that Mike Hazelman is playing, but I do think he is easing away from...
I would imagine Thomas Biaggi due to take over.
And no change here at the front as we go back to it. Marcel Fassler unable to make use of that heavy braking into turn 2 to get the drop on Fred Macavici. And now what will he do? Is pretty much
pressure, isn't it? All the way.
Just pretty evenly matched in terms of performance, and although he's right behind him, all he can do is try to frighten him with the front end of that car. It's a pretty scary thing, I suppose, when it's right in your mirrors. But look, he is looking for places now and thinking about it. Can he do it here? We've seen a pass here before, and he gets through under brakes. Does he make the turn, or does he give it away? No, he gets it sorted, done and dusted, and he's on his way.
Flurry of pit visitors while that action was going on. We've got Maxime Soulet in from what was 7th place. Hazelman's having made his way past him, and Nicky Cadet has come.
That's a bit of bodywork, isn't it? It was a tyre carcass.
It's a tyre tread, yeah.
Oh, that's bad.
And that's off the Maserati.
Or is it this? Look, there's a lot of smoke from the back end of 62. They were...
It's coming a little bit slippery, but it's for everyone, and the track, it's amazing. I think, of course, it's the first year, always have some problems. But for sure for next year will be a lot better, and but anyway, all the people in Argentina, it's congratulations for them. They did a very, very good job.
Thank you, Ed.
Well, Zandy Negrão obviously slightly dischuffed about the proceedings. That was just bad luck on his part, wasn't it? And it proved absolutely everything we've been saying about off-line excursions.
Absolutely. Just watch Rob Bell making up a place at the expense of Thomas Biaggi, and here's a big lock-up for Henri Moser, or is that a...
Is that smoke? Is it just a tyre smoke?
No, it looks as that's a real weird one. Big lock-up. It looks as though that's a...
Oh, and that's spin off. Roland Berlilet has been off.
Good start. That'll not endear him to Jacques Leconte, on whose wrong side I would not want to be.
No. Scattering a bit of body work there.
Yes,
I wonder if he's tapped the wall.
Yes, there's all the little winglets on the front.
Could be a dive plane. He might just banged it off on the curbs. As we've said before, the curbs here are quite steep, and it is possible to pull bits of bodywork off, or indeed tyres, as we've seen as well.
Yes, passing the stricken Porsche of Manu Collard, as was, and that's Bert Longin making his way past. So
here it is.
Here's what happened.
Just a little bit over keen, wasn't he? Oh, dang.
Oh dear.
And then it is come in at once, isn't it, and have that gaffer taped up and see if we can't get you back out on track again.
Yes, well that's a little inexperience, isn't it? Combined with a slippery track and some cold tyres.
You saw a fair amount of cement dust being kicked up there. We've had some very exciting single-seater and touring car racing here this morning, and some very excitable touring car racing.
Yes.
And as a result of that, there's quite a lot of cement dust here and there on a circuit which, as Sandy DeGrauw was just saying, is already very slippery offline, and you just need to make a tiny little error of positioning, and this is the result. And that's a shame, because that car's running so well, and we had a great battle going on at the front of the field, but at the moment it's Rosati who heads the field, and Golin in second place from Anthony Kumpen. But pit lane now is Marcel Fassler, who's just got out of the Corvette. So while Bervelet brings that in, we'll see if Haley can catch up with Mr. Fassler and find out how much he enjoyed his opening stint in the race.
The track was quite okay. I had a shit start. I was a bit confused about the long red light they kept giving, so I lost my place in the start. But then I knew that Salih number 7, he has not so good second driver as I have. So I was just trying to follow him, try to make a big gap to the people behind us, to have a lot of space.
Is the Corvette feeling good out there?
Yeah, it looks quite nice at the moment. It's still it's now half time and it looks pretty good. But you know, the track is still quite dirty after the racing line. So you really have to stay on the racing line. Otherwise, it's quite difficult. And some parts are starts to have graining on the asphalt, which is quite slippery and dangerous sometimes. So I think this is also the reason because of the many mistakes we have seen now.
Good luck, Marcel. Thank you.
Marcel Fassler, and a poor start, explained in racing terminology. That's a technical phrase you'll often hear in the pit lane.
Yes, he really was just caught for a moment, wasn't he, by those red lights being held rather longer, and maybe simply because he wasn't lined up side by side with the Celine. However, the Celine sadly looks to be out of things now, with having been driven straight in to its garage by Roland Beverlet after his first lap out accident. We've got a new leader in GT2. As you can see it on screen there, Tony Wielander, having taken over the 50 car from Jimmy Bruni, has made his way past Luis Perez-Companc, and that change has affected just out of our sight. But Michael Forston remains in third for the moment, but is now being chased down by Rob Bell in the CR Scuderia Ferrari.
Just remind me, Graham, where did the 50 car start?
The 50 car started, well, almost plumb last.
Absolutely, back of the grid to first place in
fact,
class in less than an hour.
Yeah,
that's going some, isn't it? Those two are pretty class act, aren't they? Yes.
They are a stunning act, the pair of them. They've really excelled this season, and you would not bet against them.
Well, I'm afraid I did. I didn't really have them down as the winners in GT2, and I'm afraid my chosen pairing is watching this from the edge of the circuit. If you've joined us late for any reason and you're wondering how Richard Westbrook was getting on in his bid to become second in the championship, he isn't.
No, it's over, isn't it, unfortunately? Collard parking the car up on the side of the track. We don't know whether it was a failure or whether it was an accident, but the result was the same. The car stopped, and we're looking on the screen now at another battle here for fifth place. Paolo Roberti coming up onto the back of Hill. It looks to me as though he has. Not only has he done it, he's done it in style, and it looks more as though Fortune is in trouble, because Bell is pulled well clear of him. Paolo Roberti is towed right up onto his tail, and Christian Ledesma is down to have the pair of them as they come down start finish straight, three abreast. Great sight.
Well, the Corvette obviously making use of GT1 power, but here goes Ruberti, and I think he's taken the place as well, and I think you may well be right, and the second of the Porsches now looking to be in some kind of difficulty as well as the first. We don't know what went wrong with the first one, but we do know it's been parked for some while.
And with that pass, of course, providing it stays put, it means that BMS Scuderia Italia are once again ahead of Pro Speed, and their second place in the championship is fairly secure in terms of both drivers and for the teams as well. Rob Bell, however, what a good drive this has been in the middle stint. Andrew Kokori having taken the start and got punted for his trouble in the first lap. Rob Bell, having taken over, has done a sterling job. Lost a number of cars, unfortunately, during the progress. This is a replay of the vertigo swapping ends, and oh yes, that's not going to polish out, is it?
Lost it in the corner and back ball, and he's doing a good job of that and resisting quite intense pressure, it has to be said.
Yes, and if they are able to maintain a podium spot, you can almost hear the cheers now.
Oh,
it will be as though they've won.
Well, they're winning, of course, in GT1. Riccardo Rosati is 51 seconds clear, and he's pulling away from Fabrizio Gollin.
And what is still happening, Richard, is that Anthony Kumpen is closing down Fabrizio Gollin regularly, lap by lap. He's a second or so quicker, and that is Esteban Tuero's teammate Jose Maria Lopez looking forward to getting back in the car to resume his chase and see if he can improve his position from their current fifth.
I was going to say, taking it over from fifth, you can't help thinking, after what he did in his first stint, that a couple of places should be within his grasp, really.
Yes, just depends how far he is behind Christian Ledesma, and shadowing him. In comes Paolo Roberti as well. So that battle for the time being remains in the hands of Luis Perez Companc. But both of the third and fourth place cars, Rob Bell and Paolo Roberti, diving to pit lane together. Be interesting to see which team has the better pit lane work going on and which one gets out ahead.
Well, that is going to be interesting, isn't it? Because I think that was a good call by both the teams. They were stuck there, weren't they, behind the 95 car?
Yep.
And the only way to get clear of it was to do this. And pit lane fairly busy. 34 minutes on our countdown clock, and we've got a few red lights on the board as the second round of pit stops really hits its stride. And then when these are all struggled and worked, and they never give up, and it does look, and I've got to find something wood to touch, even if it's only the floor of our luxurious air-conditioned cabin here. I've just got to touch wood, because it would be so nice to see them end the season on the podium.
Absolutely, and they have worked so hard fighting a car that really didn't want to be driven in a hurry, and on top of that seem to have reliability issues as well. So it will be great to see them up on the podium, and they will be as delighted as whoever ascends the top step.
Well, I'm sure that's at the moment that's looking like Riccardo Rosati is going to be part of that little performance with Marcel Fassler, and how good will that be for the locals?
Yeah, and Fassler, having set his fifth pole position of the season, in doing so managed to match a record that's been held since 1997 by Bernd Schneider, no less, who set five poles in the season there.
In GT1?
Overall, yes.
Yes, in GT2.
Having done considerably more in the season in GT2.
9, wasn't it?
Overall poles.
Well, no, it was 9 for the team and 8 for Andrew Capilli. Incoming number 5 car for the second pit stop then. And I think you can say job done, really, can't you?
Yeah, and job well done by Riccardo Rosati. His local knowledge of the track gained over the last few days by pounding round in the GT2000 car, which are quite serious pieces of kit on their own, rather like a scaled down DTM saloon, and very rapid turnaround. Good job done by the 5 crew, and again, no tyres taken, just a little over half an hour to run, and this is the ever closing gap between the 4 car there currently in third place, and Kumpen in third place, Gollin in second, and both of those still behind at the moment. Rosati, who's just come out of the car, handed back to Marcel Fassler fast enough that they've maintained the lead despite the pit stop.
He did have well over 50 seconds in hand. It's not a long pit lane entrance or exit, and that's amply demonstrated by his ability to do exactly that. But then he didn't take tyres, so it is just the driver change in the fuel. Kumpen having another look at the Corvette in front of him. He flashed his lights coming down the pit straight, but I think he was talking to the team on the pit wall rather than to the man in front of him, who definitely knows he's there.
Yeah. Yes, I don't think that will have escaped his notice, do you? The pair of them following the Maria Lopez in the 37 car, who has a long way to go to try and catch Maxime Soulet, who it is who's taken over the number 3 car from Christian Ledesma. So no run out after all for Armand Fumal, who was down to be 3rd driver in the SRT car this afternoon.
Fassler, Gullin, Kumpen, Bartels in 4th place, then Soulet, then Lopez, and I wonder how long then Maria Lopez will stay in 6th place, or whether we will see the same thing occurring as we saw before. Still following him round in his wheel tracks, Anthony Kumpen, 3rd place. He's doing well, because what happened, it wasn't Zolder, I can't remember where it was, 2 races back perhaps, he had a little bit of, it was indeed a little bit of a bang in Nagaro. So that right back wheel is off, and that is parked and finished and out of it. Marcel Fassler has done something with the wall earlier on, and I think you can't see it now, but the right rear wheel was pointing in completely the wrong direction. Yes, and trying to steer the car. So all change at the top. Well, all change and identical. Oh no,
dear.
78.
Phil Comathius, take a bow.
Well, that's finished, isn't it? That's all over for him. That's not. You're not even going to drag that back to the pits, are you? You are going to try. I think we should be waving black flags at that now, shouldn't we?
Probably advise against it, wouldn't you, at this point?
It's half a car. There's a few people had already been off. They have never ever stopped trying to win races, even though the car they were in wasn't really capable of doing it. And if this happens, this is going to be the most popular thing in the paddock. Perhaps not for Argentina, but for the FIA GT paddock. These two are among the most popular drivers, well-liked, well-respected, dedicated, professional, and they are about to do a giant killer at the final round of the season. I don't want to watch anymore.
Stickability, isn't it? They have never shirked their task. Matthias Russo has brought the gap down from himself to Bruni to a little under 8 seconds, but again, with only a couple of laps remaining, it's going to mean a mistake by Bruni, unless, well, heaven forfend.
Oh look, Hazelman's closing right up on the tail end. That gap has come right down. Bert Longin has slowed again, but this is that uphill climb that might just drag the Corvette back a bit. The gap's gone down to a second. It was 3 seconds. Bert Longin has had a little bit of a breather there, and I wonder if he's just hoping that Mike Hazelman will settle for second and let him go. He's not, is he? He's not settling.
He's not known to do that, is he, Mike Hazelman?
Which is what Anthony Kumpen said. I know what he can do, and he's doing it now, isn't he?
Yep, he is, and even bearing in mind that effectively he's carrying a passenger in the car with him as well.
Absolutely.
Which by this stage in the race must be making his brakes work very hard indeed.
Well, champion-elect, champion in all but name there, and this gap is no longer a second, is it? Mike Hazelman is towing right up to the back of the Celine in front of him, and we look back down the field to see how the GT2 order is coming on. It hasn't really changed. Matthias Russo's 2nd place looks pretty safe. The leaders were coming into shot there and away up the hill. This is going to sap the power of the Corvette. Tail end sliding about all over the place. Mike Hazelman is having to work hard, as well as Bert Longin. A little bit of rallycross happening at the end of this.
Yes,
2 minutes. Let's have a look at this clock. 2 minutes 40. They're going to have to do 2 more laps, aren't they?
Yes, they are, and the rest of this, I think, is coming up to the.
Yes, they are.
In sector 2, so they may do this lap and one more, mightn't they?
They might just get away with it. It's got to be under 2:16 when they cross the line, really, for it to be one more lap.
Well, they're doing 2:20s at the moment, so I think we're going on to the last lap now.
Yes, we are. This is it. Final lap is happening now. It's the last lap of the last race of a 10-round championship. It's going to end with Michael Bartels and Andrea Bertolini claiming the crown. But what will happen here, Graham? What will happen here?
Mike Hazelman says what's going to happen here is I've been holding back, and now I've got one more chance of this, and I'm going to take it. He is not going to give way on this one at all. But Bert Longin is a tough cookie, and if Mike Hazelman thinks he's going to have an easy way round him, he's got another thing coming. But I wonder if Hazelman's has just been holding back a little bit for this last lap. You wouldn't think he'd want to, because there aren't that many places where it would be difficult for Longin to defend, but maybe that little twitch of the tail he saw the Celine make at the back end of the last lap has given Hazelman's more hope that he can actually keep his car in a straighter line than Longin at some point and out to accelerate him out of one of the corners. But look at the power in that Celine, and that's the difficulty Hazelman's has, because he's going to come to the uphill section any time now, and that 90 kilos that he's chugging around is going to be his undoing, I'm afraid.
Bert Longin is driving for his season now. This is so important. Mike Hazelman and Fabrizio Gollin have been in the championship battle through the last few rounds. They've had their ups and downs, they've had their moments of glory, but for Bert Longin and Anthony Kumpen, it's all been down, and now they are driving for their season at the end of this final round of the FIA GT Championship. We have a huge human drama happening right in front of us. Hazelman all over the back end of the Celine now, but it gets twisty and turny here, and there aren't any places for him to do it now. He might have a stab at it in that final right-hander where Marcel Fassler crashed, but I don't think he's going to do it, and I think this is going to be Bert Longin and Anthony Kumpen's moment of 2008. And it's going to be something for the rest of us to stand up and cheer for, because it just goes to prove that money cannot buy you everything. He's pulling away from him on acceleration. He's in this tiny, short final sector. It doesn't matter, Graham. He's going to do it. How incredible is this? Well, who would have predicted it? No one in the media centre would have bet on this one. We all thought about a Celine, but it was a blue and white one. And there is the checkered flag.
Fantastic
Unbelievable.
Oh, brilliant result for Anthony Kumpen and Bert Longin. We had a word with Anthony earlier. I wonder if he can speak now, if we can get hold of him again. But what a brilliant result for them. This, however, is the championship pairing. It's Bertolini and Bartels. They finished in fifth. They've done all they had to do. Mike Hazelman's couldn't win the race, and so it became academic. And Bertolini, as long as he crosses the line and finishes the race, which he's about to do, will be champion, along with Michael Bartels.
Well, that's the double for them, team and championship, drivers' championship for both of these men. They're on their way towards the last few yards.
And in a remarkable finish in GT2, Matthias Russo has made it past Jimmy Bruni. And whoa, are we looking at replays? I hope we are.
No, we're not. He's got to get back to the pits, hasn't he? He's got to get back to the pits.
He's got to get back to the back to Parc Fermé.
Yes. It's no good. In one of the course cars is Bert Longin, who took the checkered flag. There is the confirmation. It's an official result. It'll be subject to the steward decisions, because if they decide to penalise that pair for messing about after the checkered flag and give them a 30-second penalty, it'll all be terribly different, won't it?
Well, if it's 30 seconds, it'll be okay. If it's 35, then Maxime Soulet wins.
So Kumpen and Longin win. I just cannot believe they've won the final race of the year. Mike Hazelman's second, good but no cigar as far as he was concerned. But basically, once the field had thinned and it was impossible for Michael Bartels and Andrea Bertolini to finish lower than sixth, their hopes at the championship had finally evaporated. And Russo takes the fairy tale win for the locals, the podium spot there. Marcus Baltalla behind him, and then it was Malucelli who claims the second place in the GT2 championship, but that's GT1. Bartels and Bertolini are champions. Hazelman and Gollin, second place. That's no bad thing, you know.
Not at all.
It was close, wasn't it? And they'll be reasonably pleased with that.
Although, again, ruining that little moment at Bucharest. 5
points would have made a bit of a difference for them, wouldn't it?
Just a smidge.
But it's easy to be wise after the event, isn't it? And there's the rundown through the order. Ryan Sharp and Carl Wendlinger absentees from this round for Jet Alliance. And again, I'm sure Mike Hazelman will be looking for